Enjoying all that Toxic Radio has to offer? Well, make sure you like and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Be the first to find out about ticket giveaways, amazing guests, awesome contests, and Toxic Radio events. Just search Toxic Radio Live, all one word, and press that little button. Every time you do, someone here at Toxic Radio will get their wings. Yay! Well, not really. Aww. But we will get a warm, fuzzy feeling in our tummies. But then again, that just might be the beer. Anyway, like and follow us, and we will see you out there on the interwebs.
Planning your Saturday night can be a bit of a bitch.
Saturday night is the loneliest night in the week.
Well, it doesn't have to be. Load up Toxic Radio every Saturday night for the heavy metal happy hour with the one and only Fishman.
I know that, dude.
There will be interviews, ticket giveaways, a little bit of banter with Toxic Mike, and of course great metal from the 80s all the way through today. Starts at 7 p.m., runs until Fish says it's over.
Everyone get out!
Catch it only on Toxic Radio. Don't play it safe. Play it toxic. Hey, buddy. Rah. Hey, man, that's a sweet heavy metal happy hour t-shirt. Where'd you pick that up?
Thanks, dude. I got it at the Toxic Radio shop.
Toxic Radio has a shop?
Yeah, dude. It's in the app or online at toxicradio.net.
That is sweet.
Yeah, and I also got a rockin' Toxic Radio hoodie and a Red Band Underground shirt. Dude, I'm gonna look so rockin' at the party tomorrow.
Well, I think you look pretty now.
Oh, wait, what?
The Toxic Radio shop is a place to get all your Toxic Radio gear. Shirts, hoodies, stickers. Find it at toxicradio.net or on the app. Don't buy it safe. Buy it toxic. Hey, where are you going, man?
Welcome to Show 58, Wire2Wire Sports Podcast. I am your host, Gene Walzak. And to my right, I got the man, the myth, the legend, the uncle, Shally.
What's going on?
To my left, I got Kent State's own, Cleveland's own, College, Cottrell.
What's up, everybody?
Like seeing my hand over there. It's pretty cool. All right, I'll stop.
Weirdo.
Hey, listen, I'm having fun tonight. We got a lot to get into. We're going to talk about the Heisman Trophy.
Your voice is back.
Yeah, my voice is back. I'm not as hoarse. It's still not like 100%, but like I'm in the 88th percentile, like right around there. NCAA, we got a huge game this week. Michigan State, Ohio State. We also got a huge upset brewing, which I'm calling now, but I'll get into that. We got our Pickem, NFL. My lock of the year hit, and it crushed. 43-3. Listen, I had text messages all week. One, I got to shout out my buddy Paul Porter. Made $375 off $10. He bet the Cowboys first quarter, first half, full game, alternate line, minus 19. It was $10. He made $365. But we got NBA, NHL. We got a ton to get into. So let's get started. I just want to recap something from last week. Ohio State, like I said, would kick the dog shit out of Purdue, and they did. What were your thoughts on the Ohio State game? I know you're getting your camera adjusted, but what were your thoughts on the Ohio State game, Cottrell?
I mean, I thought I was right there with you. I definitely thought it was going to be a blowout as well. Big thing was that early on Ohio State got the momentum and they kept rolling with it. So definitely was excited to see that. And I mean, when they have it clicking, they're going to be a hard team to stop, and they had it click in that game. Granted, Purdue definitely shot themselves in the foot a lot in that game, and you kind of saw once the game was out of hand, Purdue kind of started to get it together, but at that point it was just too late. But we will definitely see, because this upcoming week is the tough test, and I've been saying it all year from game one that this is going to be their toughest game of the year, post Oregon. This is going to be their toughest game of the year.
I disagree. I think their toughest test is when they have to go to Ann Arbor. I feel like the schedule makers did Ohio State a lot of favors this year. I feel like, well, maybe not like the schedule makers, but the luck of the draw. They get every big game in Ohio State, except the game, they have to go to Ann Arbor. I don't think this game is any bit different, maybe a little different than last week, but it's a 19-point spread if that doesn't tell you anything.
I mean, yeah, but the Penn State game was an 18-point spread, and it wasn't just the whitewash.
Michigan State doesn't have Penn State's defense, and that's Michigan State's problem. I don't
tell us how you feel.
I don't think it'll be quite as big as Purdue last week, but I think it's going to go similarly. Purdue had a nightmare start to that game. Literally, like if you could have drawn up worst possible scenario, it was that. They had to keep that game close through the first quarter, and then like really be able to settle into their offense and worry about moving the ball. They were down 14-0 before they knew what happened, and at that point, everything, to Ohio State's credit, played into their hands that game. And if you want to beat teams like that, you can't have starts like that. You got to play 60 minutes of football. Purdue didn't do that, coming off a huge win against Michigan State, and they're the same way. They're a very good offensive team. Defense is not their strength. You're going up against the best offense in the Big Ten. So that once that game got out of hand, it didn't surprise me at all. And I knew Ryan Day wouldn't take his foot off the gas. So Purdue's back to the drawing board. I don't know who they have this week, but I don't think Ohio State's going to struggle with Michigan State whatsoever.
I don't either. I think that getting the game in Ohio State helps too. Like playing that game at Michigan State makes it a totally different game, which is why I continuously talk about the game that's at Ann Arbor will be the game that they need to show up for. But I think they're undefeated versus Ohio State since Jim Harbaugh's been there. Am I correct?
Harbaugh's not beat Ohio State, no.
So maybe that plays in Ohio State's favor. But with that being said, Kenneth Walker has a good day. I think he'll run for 150 yards. Nothing like he did, to 200 yards, 4 touchdowns versus Michigan. But I think he'll end up having a good day. But I don't think that that'll be enough. I think Ohio State still wins the game by double digits.
I think a lot would have to go right for Michigan State to win that game. They're going to have to be able to possess the ball and kind of methodically go down the field with Kenneth Walker. They don't want to score fast in that game.
Correct.
I agree with you. They want 6, 7, 8 minute drives. If you do that and you make C.J. Stroud and that offense go 4 for 4, 4 for 6 in possessions and limit how many times they touch the ball, then you have a shot. I don't think that's going to happen. Michigan State's still missing one of their corners. Wilson and Olave will both be there. I don't know if Teague's going to play. I don't think it really matters because he's not the starter anyway. I predict Ohio State to win, and it's probably going to be comfortable.
Go ahead.
No, I think it's all setting up for everything next week, and that'll make that game a lot more fun. So
the only thing that gives me, I guess, a little bit of concern is that Ohio State definitely has a hard time stopping teams that have a good rushing attack, and clearly Michigan State has that. Now, of course, if you can find a way to get up early and you make Michigan State play from behind where they have to pass the ball, then I think that's when all the wheels would fall off for Michigan State.
Again, I think if that's a 14-10, 17-13 game at halftime, I think Michigan State has a shot. If you have the start that you had last week and, right out of the gate, they're up 14-0, 13-0,
yep,
and then Michigan State's got to start throwing the ball, it's going to get ugly because they're just not designed to do it. It's not how they want to play the game.
So I feel like that we've basically all said this out loud, but I'm going to give my prediction. I think it's going to be 42-23 Ohio State. I think it lands right on the line, almost identically.
I had 37-21, so it's close.
I would go 41-24, 41-27. Ohio State.
Because you're getting closer and closer to that line.
41-27. I think Michigan State covers, but they just sneakily cover.
Yeah, I could see it going either way. I think it'll be a double-digit game at minimum.
I do agree with that. I just think Ohio State has too much firepower, and I do agree with Bill that Michigan State doesn't quite have the defense that Penn State has. But at some point, rushing the ball is great and everything, but you're going to have to put up points against Ohio State, and you can't. I mean, you can. If you can rush for 200-plus yards and score 40 points, then, that's the way to do it. But I just don't see that happening. So eventually they're going to have to pass the ball, and I don't see them being too successful in overcoming that Ohio State passing attack.
We got another game on the docket. Oregon's playing at Utah. And I'm be very clear when I say this. This is not the game Oregon wants. Utah's going to win that football game. and I'm almost like I'm picking the game, and I'll be clear now. I have Utah -3 in that game. Utah's a 3-point favorite in this game. I like Utah a lot. I think that Utah is going to be able to move the ball up and down the field, and I think Oregon's just waiting for that team to knock them off, and I think it will be Utah.
I agree with half of what you just said. I really do feel like Utah is almost like a mini Oklahoma. They're waiting just for somebody to step on the field and beat them. Utah's more than capable of doing it. Utah's not an easy place to go play either. It's going to be cold. God forbid you have weather or something there. I mean, we've seen that before too. I mean, it could be snowing there Saturday. Utah's very good. Utah's very inconsistent too. I've watched them 3 or 4 times this year. There's weeks they go out there and like you said, they look like they could walk through anybody. And then there's other weeks they struggle with bad teams. I think a lot of it's going to depend on what teams show up. I'm kind of rooting for Utah to win just because it's going to be that just incites the chaos even more into the rankings. I mean, it pretty much eliminates Oregon, but I think it's gonna be a good game. I think it's gonna be close.
Well, if you're a Cincinnati fan, you're highly rooting for Utah in this game.
Correct.
So you're rooting for Cincinnati, so you'd be rooting for Utah.
Not me.
Explain.
So I'm rooting for Cincinnati.
Oregon being the Pac-12 champion helps him out.
I want Oregon to win the game. I want Oregon to make the playoffs, and I would like to face them again. What I do want is in the SEC championship game, I want Georgia to beat Bama, and I want Cincinnati to get 4. So we get a rematch of that game from last year's bowl season, and then we get a rematch of the game that happened week 2 with Oregon Ohio State. That's what like my perfect college football scenario playoff would be.
You think that the perfect scenario would be you facing Oregon for the national championship?
No. The first round.
Oh, okay.
Second 2-3 matchup with Ohio State, Oregon.
So Georgia would play Cincinnati.
Correct.
In that case.
Yep.
Got it. Yeah, I mean that's your only way of making the college football final. So I mean, I guess that makes sense.
Wow.
Well, we know Penn State won't be there.
They'll
fair. Probably be in the Camping World Bowl and
First of all, they're gonna play in the game that's in Yankee Stadium. All right, won't be the Camping World. It'll be like
when are we recapping that game?
What game? I don't know what happened.
the game that you said Penn State was going to win last week.
Yeah, it was a very close game. Penn State lost.
They lost.
They got offensive pass interference, pick play for that touchdown. Not called. So, I mean, Michigan ended up winning the game.
What pick play? He ran into his own player. We didn't even touch him.
I just ran right into him. I don't know.
I don't know.
Michigan's running these rub plays and scoring 70-yard touchdowns. I don't know what to tell you.
Sounds like typical James Franklin coaching last
James
2 minutes
Franklin
of the game.
Stinks. I was texting you guys how much I hate James Franklin in the middle of that game. The fake field goal. Okay, fine. The fake punt. Okay, fine. I didn't like the call to begin with. I would have went for it. They get the fake punt. Then they go for a fake field goal at the 2-yard line. Why not leave your offense on the field? I get it. You placed Illinois there, and you couldn't score 7 out of 9 times from the 2-yard line. So maybe you thought your field goal kicker your field goal kicker would be the person that does it. That was terrible.
The funny thing is that I saw the replay, and there was a tight end that was like towards the end zone, and he had a little bit of space. The kicker, I mean, obviously it's not his job to throw the ball. You got to throw it to the end zone to give your guy a shot. Like I'm sure. I mean, it was awful play calling. I don't know what you're thinking there. If you're going to go for it there, you keep the offense in your best player's hands. Jahan Dotson's on the sideline. He had a pretty solid game. Sean Clifford
caught everything that was even close to him.
Exactly. Sean Clifford can make plays with his feet. So if something break down, I take that shot 100 times out of 100 before I let my field goal kicker try to throw a touchdown.
And if you miss on the 2-yard line, Michigan has to start on the 2-yard line.
Instead, you get like a 25-yard loss.
That's the part of it that made no sense to me. I mean, if you're going to go for it, then just go. Worst case, you turn the ball over on the 2 or the 1, wherever you get tackled.
You got that defense with Michigan on the 2-yard line?
Yeah.
So stupid, man.
I think...
Oh, I hate James Franklin.
I think from his point of view, I think the only thing that scared him there was you're in theory, you're not scaring Michigan running the ball there unless it's Clifford, and they're probably going to, at that point, you're watching Clifford to run. You're not handing the ball off there because Michigan just knows you're not doing that because you can't run the ball because your line stinks. So you're probably rolling him out. They kept Dotson pretty much under wraps until like midway through the fourth quarter. He had a couple big catches. So, and you referenced it already. We watched the Illinois game. So, I mean, it's not like they have a huge bunch of plays that they feel successful. They're going to run from the 2-yard line. At that point, though, just take the points then. Like it just makes no sense. To me.
I follow that. The fake field goal was puzzling. I said it immediately. I'm like, this is so stupid.
We were watching it together, and we were like, we just couldn't believe it. The crazy thing is, too, though, from the 2-yard line, so they ran a 2-point conversion play later, and they just threw a back shoulder pass to Jahan Dotson, and it was money. So, like, I just don't know why that's not in your wheelhouse more often. 4th down, throwing it to my best player, especially if they're going to single cover him on the field side. Like, it's a no-brainer.
James Franklin plays so many games scared at the end. Like, I guess he just likes to show his balls in the first quarter. I don't get it. But, like, all right, let me give you an example. Ready? Biggest turning point in the whole game. Michigan fumbles the ball. It's 17-17. Penn State takes over the ball. And you can go up 7 points and score. And you have the least aggressive game plan of all time. It is like literally dog shit, kick a field goal. And then you give the ball to Michigan. It's just like almost like I knew it was going to happen before it happened. He's so scared at the end of the games. He's so one-dimensional and he's so scared. And Sean Clifford, by the way, like he had a terrible game. Like I don't want to overlook the fact that most of his complete passes to Jahan Dotson were awful passes. They were terrible passes that Jahan Dotson just pulled in.
He was under siege all game too, though. I'll give him credit. He got beat up in that game. He toughed it out. I'll give him that. I mean, and they knocked him down, I think, 14 or 15 times, and none of them were like, oh, like we ran into him and knocked him down. Like he was hit that many times. That line's bad. I mean, it's everybody keeps saying the running backs, and I'm looking at some of the running backs. I'm like, some of those kids aren't that bad. Like they have nowhere to run. Like they're getting the ball and they turn around, somebody's hitting them. Like I don't know. They got a lot of work to do on the offensive line. I think Franklin's leaving, but
I hope so. My prayers will be answered.
Yeah, you gotta be careful what you wish for, though. You don't
That's
know.
Also very true.
You don't know who you're gonna get after that. I'm just saying.
I don't want him.
I think somebody said it online. The more I thought about it, the more I agreed with it. Franklin coaches a lot like he doesn't have confidence in his players.
That he recruits.
Yeah, which is when you really look at it, like you could say it's coaching scared sometimes, but the more I thought about that, he doesn't trust his players.
I mean, if I had Sean Clifford as my quarterback, I wouldn't trust him too much either.
You've been there for 5-6 years. You couldn't recruit a quarterback.
And their class next year ain't any better.
I'm not saying that
class next year is not any better.
I'm not saying that James Franklin should be absolved for not having a better quarterback, but we saw what their backup quarterback did against Iowa.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if that's your second best option, that's your second best option. Then
Chris Cargan, Penn State guy, said I want him for recruiting. That's all. The part that sucks about that is you can't pay him enough just to recruit.
You'd have to make him. You'd have to make him your AD at that point, basically. And
pretty much.
You'd pay him like $8 million a year to do that.
Yeah, I still don't think you could do that either.
I think his recruiting is very good. He has the players. I think he always has the players.
He does. I mean, listen. I mean, it's ever since Paterno left too. I mean, that is not. Even when Paterno was there, like he did well because he just kept every big recruit in Pennsylvania. Like if you were younger, you grew up and you played football, you wanted to go to Penn State, and that was a Paterno thing. But it's not the easiest place to get people to go play. Like it's not. You have an amazing fan base, you have amazing facilities, resources, and all that stuff. Penn State's in the middle of nowhere. It's on a mountain. Like, to go recruit some kid from Texas who's never seen snow.
Ohio State has no problem with that. Who wants to live in the state of Ohio?
No, Columbus is terrible. I agree, but it's, they also win. It's a little easier to be like, if you come here, you could, possibly
gold pants for sure.
You could possibly win a national championship.
Yeah,
Penn State, it's like,
years.
You're Texas, you've never seen snow, but come live in PA, where it's going to be freezing here 4 months of the year.
We'll go 6-6 and maybe make a bowl game.
And we'll go 8-3, and we'll have a whiteout game every year.
Yeah, whiteout, baby. Speaking of that, let's get to Heisman candidates. Well, first of all, you guys didn't give me Utah, Oregon. We just skipped over that because Bill wanted to take his Michigan jab.
Or you just wanted to avoid it, either or.
I wanted to avoid it. That's accurate. I'll admit that. I have no shame in that.
I really want to pick Utah, and I don't know. I just feel I don't know if Oregon's just the Oklahoma team that's still hanging on, or
that spread tells me everything I need to know.
Or they're really just. I mean, honestly, if you were that well, not you, but you would think the spread would be bigger if Vegas really thought Utah was going to win that game.
No, they're trying to get people to bet on Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
Oregon +3, number 3 team in the country.
Yeah,
probably number 22.
Hostile environment.
I'll give you an example The number 2 team in the country is playing number 21. It's a 21-point spread. Alabama, Arkansas.
Yeah, they're home though.
It's 24-point difference.
I think if the game, not necessarily 24, but if the game was in Oregon, if it was in
6.5.
Eugene, yeah, it's different.
Probably bigger than that. It's probably double digits. It's probably 9.5.
That's 12-point swing for home field.
It's college, bro. This ain't pro.
I get it.
You got kids. You got your 18-year-old kids are going to go play in a freezing cold
So
stadium.
if Ohio State's playing at Michigan State, what do you think the spread would be?
What is it?
19.5.
Probably, I say 13.
Yeah, I mean, probably it's probably 11.5, 12.5, somewhere around there.
Still 6 points. You're going 13 points the other way.
It's also like that whole 3-point thing for being home is like the biggest like old wives' tale ever. Like that's
I get it. It's just that's
it's
a
from
lot.
like the bookies from like the 60s and 70s. Like it's not a real thing.
I think these teams are kind of close.
Yeah,
give them 3 points.
Yeah. Oh, they're home plus 6.5. Like it's not a real thing. Listen, I get it. I'm actually on the fence about the game. There's a big part of me that thinks that Utah wins the game. I could see how how Oregon wins the game too. I'll go 27-24 Utah.
Woo! He's got it pushing. Bet the push plus 5,000.
I'm kidding.
I don't know. What
I'm
that
gonna
is.
go.
Don't bet the push.
I'm going with Oregon in this one, 31-24. I think Oregon score. I think they're up 20. I think they're up 31-21. Utah's going to try last minute field goal. They're going to try for the onside kick. Don't get it. Ends at 31-24.
Utah 38. Oregon 30. 38-30 Utah. The Utes. The running Utes.
What did you
It's the
bet?
worst name ever.
31-24 Ducks.
So everybody's got a 1-possession game.
I barely have it that. 8. Is that the worst name, though? Is there a worse name for a team than the Utes? The Utah Utes? What the hell is a Ute?
Person from Utah.
Okay, I get it.
I mean, you got the Jackrabbits.
That's better than the Utes. Can someone on the wire line give me a worse name?
It's like this big. It's a rabbit.
Give me a worse name than the Utes.
Stop it.
Wow.
Buckeyes, you guys need to have a freaking plant, dude. Stop.
Here we go. It's starting a week early. Is that next Saturday?
Next
Yes,
Saturday.
it
I
is.
didn't know there's a bye or not.
No.
Nope.
Thanksgiving weekend. Pretty much all the time.
Yep. Unless COVID
Screw
happens.
you, Trout. Trout said, "What's a Philly?" Screw you.
Philly, Flyer, Sixer.
Flyer's different. You're flying on ice. I like it. All right, so Heisman's. I know who Control's going to pick. You want to start? Give me your C.J. Stroud.
Yeah, get this homer pick out of the way.
I mean, I think this is a 3-horse race that will become a 2-horse race after this upcoming weekend. If Michigan State can find a way to win, and I think it's, if it's heavy on Kenneth Walker's shoulders, I do think right now he's still in the mix. Like I said, if he can have a 3-4 touchdown kind of game and somehow Michigan State pulls off the upset in Columbus, I think he's right there at the top of for the Heisman. And then the other two are the quarterbacks. I mean, you got Bryce Young from Alabama and C.J. Stroud from Ohio State. And the funny thing is that we've been so critical on C.J. Stroud, and deservedly so. Like, there's been games where he hasn't played the part, but his numbers are just what they are. And then he had a good game last week against Purdue, which is, I'm not saying Purdue is world beaters on defense, but you get a ranked game in Purdue. You got a ranked game this week against Michigan State, who's number 7, and then next week, who knows where Michigan's going to be, if they're at 6, they're at 5, whatever. But he definitely has the competition to put on the performances to win it. But right now, I would say Bryce Young is the leader in the clubhouse, but very, very small. Like, I truly think that this could be the defining week for C.J. Stroud.
I want to make a comment on what you just said. At the end of this, at the end of the season, after he's played all his regular season games, C.J. Stroud, he'll have played 3 teams that are in the top 25 defensively. Oregon, Penn State, and Michigan. He's going to have to play at Michigan, the other 2 games he played at home. All 3 games he'll be underwhelming. He's beating up on bad teams. And that's just my whole opinion of C.J. Stroud this entire season. I think that Kenneth Walker should be the Heisman Trophy winner. I think last year we went quarterback, and then at the end of the year, Devonta Smith was a Heisman Trophy winner. He had a big game the week before, three, 4 touchdowns. Kenneth Walker's got 1,500 yards, 18 touchdowns, and 6.5 yards per carry. And he plays in the Big Ten. So he's not playing on carpet. He's playing on grass.
So you're saying that he's playing the same competition that C.J. Stroud's playing? Is that what you're telling me?
No, what I'm saying is he's not playing on carpet. He's not playing on a speed environment. He's playing on grass. He's playing in cold weather areas, and he's running the football
in the same temperatures that C.J. Stroud are playing in, same
CJ
conditions.
Stroud's playing. C.J. Stroud
I'm just asking.
I'd say Jahan Dotson's top 3. Who are the top 3 receivers in the entire Big Ten?
Olave, Wilson, and Dotson.
Okay, so you have both of them on Ohio State.
Okay.
Who is the best offensive line in the Big Ten?
Ohio State.
Okay. So
Ooh.
they do.
They
them in
do.
Michigan. It's them in Michigan. No?
I don't think it's definitively them, but keep going.
It's them or Michigan, am I right?
Probably, yeah.
Okay, so you have the best receivers, the best offensive line. You have all the athletes that can run by everyone. And C.J. Stroud versus 3 teams. They hadn't played him yet.
And he put up 300 yards against Penn State. Like, let's not just throw that under the rug.
Do you think you talked right to me and said he had an underwhelming game versus Penn State? Did he not? Did you not
compared to the rest of the season? Yes, like as opposed to other games. But him having a underwhelming performance and still putting up 300 yards is nothing to sneeze at. Like I think the standard is high because we saw what he could do against teams that aren't as good. So for him to still put up, he didn't quite. I mean, I know they had the fumble 6 touchdown, the big man, but for him to still put up points in that game and have 300+ yards, like I think he had like 68 or 70% completion percentage. Like he still had a solid game. It just wasn't 5 touchdowns, 400+ yards like he would against other schools. And I think that's credit to Penn State's defense. And I don't want to just completely throw that game under the rug just because it wasn't 5 touchdowns. I mean, you had like Bryce Young. Bryce Young is right here in the thick of it too, but he's had underwhelming performances against LSU the past like couple weeks ago. He had the game against Texas A&M that they lost. Like it's not just. This is a year where no one's definitively winning the Heisman, and the other thing too is that these guys are young. So C.J. Stroud is going to have another year. Bryce Young's got another year. Matt Corral's kind of just fallen off because of injury, and his team just hasn't been performing.
Matt Corral's in my top 3. My top 3 are different than a lot of people's top 3 are. Yeah. My top 3 don't have Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud in. So, Matt Corral, Kenneth Walker, and Kenny Pickett.
Matt Corral's you're not getting both of them.
It's fine. I'm just telling you my top 3.
I think Walker's definitely a finalist regardless of what happens. I don't think he's any shot of winning.
Out of curiosity, how many top 25 defenses has Kenny Pickett faced?
1.
I'll throw no Olave and Wilson either.
Fair.
Bryce Young's going to win the Heisman unless something crazy happens. I think C.J. Stroud, unless he might have huge C.J.
Do they count big like title games into?
They vote after it.
They vote after the title games. I don't know. Bryce Young's going to play Georgia.
Yeah, but unless he looks awful. I mean, last week he had 300-some yards passing, 5 touchdowns. He had 3
versus New Mexico State.
Okay, but it all adds up again in the end. That's what I'm saying. Like it's. I think
how it's a cumulative stats when you play Little Sisters of the Poor. 7 out of 10.
But
games.
everybody plays them though.
I
At
get
the bigger
it. It's just,
schools, like
there's no team that's going to play a great team every week.
Right.
Like even if you're in the SEC, you have 4 or 5 cupcakes every year. Like
it is what it is.
I just want to see what these guys are doing versus the top teams that they have to play against. And Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud have not done great against the top teams they've played against.
The only good game Walker's had against a good team was against us.
That's a great game.
So he's had one great game. He wins the Heisman.
1,500 yards, 18 touchdowns, 6.5 yards.
Okay, Stroud
not one great game.
Stroud and Young both have over 3,000 yards passing, with a gazillion TDs and practically no interceptions. So I'm saying it's all comparable. It's all relative. It's all relative. Like, I would say this. I think if Michigan State somehow wins this weekend, I mean, I think that would probably knock Stroud out of the running.
Agree.
Unless he went to Michigan and just threw for like 500 yards. I just don't think that would be enough. I think a lot of it will have. I think if Bryce Young, even if Alabama loses, I think if Bryce Young plays well against Georgia against that defense, I think that'll seal it for him. And I think those are your 3 finalists. I don't think Matt Corral's going to make it. He's fallen off. He was the trendy shiny.
It's Vanderbilt this week. You only need 1 week. 7 touchdowns versus them.
The thing that
three of his last 4 games haven't been what they were at the beginning of the year.
The thing
Like,
that's
he's
somewhat
fallen down.
unfortunate too is that winning matters in this, and
It does.
as much as we don't want it to, it does. And Matt Corral just hasn't. If you look at their schedule, they got 3 losses already, and they had a bad loss against Auburn. Like he only put up 3 points against that Auburn team. So I think he's out of it at this point, and especially with their best games behind them already off the schedule. So I definitely think it's a 3-man race right now, and I think a lot would determine who else is going to be with Bryce Young after this week with Ohio State, Michigan State.
I think it's still them. I think Michigan State, again, is probably going to lose by double digits. I still think Walker's going to have a good game, though. I think he's going to put up decent numbers. Probably have like 130, maybe like 2 touchdowns. And against Ohio State, that'll be enough to keep him in it.
My thing though with that is that at that point, Michigan State would have two losses, and with Ohio State only having 1 loss, Alabama still only at 1 loss right now. Potentially, they both ended with 1 loss, and the other 2 are quarterbacks. Like I just think that as much as we don't want it to matter, people value the quarterback. And
but you're in theory, then you're talking about. I think Michigan State has, who was their last game? Penn State, I think.
The game before,
who do they play this week?
Oh, Penn State.
Yeah,
They play. They're favored. They play
I think they got it.
Rutgers. I think it's Rutgers.
it is Rutgers. That's right. It is Rutgers. So they're going to win. I mean, so worst case, you're talking Michigan State if they lose this week, and I think they finished with Penn State. I think that's their last game.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, Rutgers at home.
So worst case, you're 8-3. It's not like they're 6-6. Like if you're 8-3 and you lose to Ohio State and Purdue and Penn State on the road, it's not the end of the world. Like his numbers will hold up against that.
No. I still think he'll be a finalist. I just don't know if 3 losses going up against 2 quarterbacks that only have 1 loss and probably make the playoff. I just don't know if that's enough to get him over the edge.
Alabama's not making the playoff, bro.
I said that could make
You
the
said
playoff.
probably. I'm telling you, Alabama's not making the playoff. I thought Alabama's chance was not losing to A&M. That's what I thought their chance was. But
I mean,
they're going to try really hard to keep him in there. It's really frustrating.
They're going to have a 2-loss team in them.
That's what's going to get tough. If
Georgia's going to beat them.
I agree. I said that from the get-go. I don't think they get in. I think if Cincinnati's sitting there 13-0, either Ohio State or Michigan are going to have 1 loss, the Big Ten champ, they're in. Georgia would obviously be in then. I think you have a bunch of teams. You could possibly have Oklahoma State or Oklahoma. Cincinnati, Notre Dame. There's just no way you can put them in with 2. You just can't. They're going to try. I promise you. They're trying now. So
I can't say it with as much conviction as you guys, and I'm sure we'll get into it as the weeks come, but I think Alabama has more than a shot in that game.
I think they have a shot.
I'm not going to fall over and dive like.
Who thinks the better team?
Well, I think it's the better team.
Yeah.
As a whole?
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
What?
That's a tough one.
You think Alabama's a better team?
No, I think Georgia's defense is great, but I just think that's like 85% of their team. I think as a whole, Bama's more well-rounded, and in a situation where Georgia's defense can't put up points, I don't know if I trust their offense to put up points. Like if somehow, some way, if Alabama goes out and scores 24 points, I would almost say like that's like a lock to beat Georgia. I just don't see that Georgia offense scoring.
The same argument I had last week. Alabama's defense isn't that good.
I mean, I guess we'll find out when it happens. It might happen twice. So if Alabama beats the first time, Georgia's getting a second crack at them.
That's true. Georgia wins this week. Pretty much, I think locks every. Well, they have 2 games. As long as Georgia finishes,
they have a game where they're not even put a spread up for it. They're playing like
they are playing
College of Charleston.
Yeah, they're playing a small.
So they have
school.
that, and then who they have? Who's their last game?
I think they just have
Georgia Tech.
Oh, Georgia
no,
Tech.
it's rivalry week, so they got Georgia Tech.
Yeah, so they're going to win both those games. So as long as they win both those games, they're in the playoff. It doesn't matter what happens in the SEC championship game. They're going to be in one way or the other. Like they're locked in.
Okay, let's get into NCAA Pickem. I'll go first. I have 2 huge upsets this week. I have K-State playing at home, beating Baylor. They're -1. Baylor is off that letdown game.
The Big 12 just continues to implode.
That's what I think is going to happen. I have K-State -1.
I love it.
I have Utah -3. And my super dog in an absolute trap game. Absolute trap game. I got Maryland +15 versus Michigan. I don't think they're going to win the game, but Michigan, it's going to be really tough not to have those kids look forward to Ohio State. It's just going to be tough not to do that. I think Michigan wins the game. I think they win it by 7. I'll pick up 8 more points. I've won 7 out of the last 8 super dogs. Go. Good try. Give me yours.
I just think it's funny that you said you got 2 upsets and you picked 2 favorites. I know they're the lower ranked team. No, I know.
like the college football committee would consider them upsets.
Well, we see that they don't know much, so
fair points.
My first game is going to be Nevada Nevada
almost picked this for
1.5 at home versus Air Force. Air Force isn't that impressive, and you saw it in the Air Force Army game. Air Force just doesn't have the offense. I think Carson Strong in that Nevada offense is a guy. Clearly, I've been saying his name pretty much all college football season so far. I think him and that Wolfpack offense get it done, and I think they win by at least 7 in that one. I also like Indiana +6.5 at home versus Minnesota. This is another game where I feel like Indiana is going to play tough. They're at home, and Minnesota really isn't that good. I know we saw they were ranked a couple weeks ago. That's not what they are. They're on their 3rd-string running back now, and their quarterback isn't Taylor Morgan or Tracy Moore. Like he's not good. He's not good at all. So I'm rolling with Indiana. I think Indiana wins, but I would take the 6.5. And then my super dog is Georgia Tech +17.5 at Notre Dame. So Georgia Tech, they're kind of like the Nebraska of the ACC right now. They've been in a lot of tight games all year, but they just can't seem to get over the hump. And so far this year, they've only lost 1 game by more than 11 points. So I think they cover that 17.5 in South Bend.
You see Clemson's favorite this week?
Against?
Somebody that shouldn't be favored against.
Great segue. That's my first pick, so I'll just go right into it. Wake Forest, and first pick is Wake Forest +4.5 versus Clemson. They just announced yesterday that Ross is their best wide receiver is having season-ending foot surgery. So they're losing their best weapon for a team already that is struggling to score the ball. I know Clemson has a good defense, but Wake Forest is going to score points in that game. So I will take it +4.5 on the road. We will be going head-to-head in the Michigan game. Michigan -14.5. It will be the best defense Maryland's faced all year statistically, and it's also the worst defense that Michigan's going to face all year. I don't think Harbaugh will let them get stuck. This team is a little bit different this year. I'm not going to say they're going to win next week, but in the way they've handled themselves and prepared themselves all year, this team's a little bit different than the last 4 or 5 years. I don't think they go to Maryland and get trapped at all. I think they blow Maryland out. So I'll take the 14.5, and I think Michigan covers it. My super dog, I'm going Duke +20.5 versus Louisville. They're home. Duke's just kind of like a meandering, like middle-of-the-road team, but Louisville's not a Louisville team of the past either. I've watched them play in the Ole Miss game and one other game. Their defense is terrible. I think Duke will score enough points to keep that within 3 touchdowns. So I will go Duke +20.5 on the road or home as my super dog against Louisville.
It's funny because all the picks that you guys had, like Nevada, Duke, I was on for super dog, and I ended up going with Maryland just because of the trap game. Obviously, Wake Forest, which I forgot to. I just looked at it. I'm like, how the hell is Clemson favored in this game? I agree with all your picks outside of the Michigan pick, and I understand the thought process. To me, it looks like Ohio State's next week.
This is your literally textbook. If you look in the definition of trap game, you just think,
agreed.
I got you.
Let's move to the NFL. We got 3 good games to talk about, and we got some picks. To open up with I guess, I don't know if this is even a good game to talk about, but I'm picking it, so I'll abstain from it. Arizona at Seattle.
I'm also picking it.
Really?
Yep.
Hopefully we're on the same side.
I hope so.
Arizona's playing Seattle. Arizona's offense is really beat up, but it looks like Kyler Murray should be back this week. Seattle just got beat up at Green Bay. Did they get shut out that game?
Shut out 17-0. It's the first time Russell Wilson's ever been shut out in his career.
He didn't look ready to be back.
Yeah, not at all.
I mean, to be fair, he played in a blizzard with the messed up
A blizzard.
finger.
A blizzard.
Okay, not a
That's
blizzard, but it was
that's
snowing. It was
overstatement.
it was bad weather. It was snowing.
It flurried.
I
Charles
watched
like there's 3
LaShawn
feet of
McCoy.
exactly.
I
Charles like
watched
there's 3
LaShawn-
feet of snow on the field. He couldn't play.
Yeah, I watched LaShawn McCoy play against Detroit.
You didn't have
That's
to
not
throw a ball with a broken finger.
Then don't play.
I feel that. Feel that one heavy.
If you're not ready, don't play.
But
I think
what-
had the elements been different, it would have been a slightly different story. But I digress.
If there's anybody in the world other than Aaron Rodgers that's okay playing in that crap, it's Russell Wilson. Like, let's not forget where he
Came from
plays.
Wisconsin.
I'm not saying. I'm
A, he
under,
played in
under
Wisconsin.
normal conditions.
B, he plays in Seattle where it rains
under-
every goddamn Sunday
under
they
normal
play.
conditions, I think it's a different story. I'm
Can I-
saying with
can-
the messed
let
up
me-
finger,
let
that
me-
didn't help at all.
You're
All right,
surprising
hold
me
on,
right
hold on,
now.
hold on.
You're surprising me right now with this
Let
line
me
of
ask you a question.
excuses.
Let me ask you a question real quick.
Soft for you.
Do you
to
think
throw.
it was tougher for Russell Wilson to play in those conditions with his finger, or for Green Bay to play the entire week without seeing their quarterback until Sunday morning?
soft ass?
Because
What?
he wasn't cleared from COVID protocols.
Aaron
until,
Rodgers been there for like 16 years. It doesn't matter who's in there. He knows the offense. They've been with the guy for forever.
You don't game plan. You don't think there's like no game plan whatsoever.
I'm not saying there's no
Did you
game
Zoom
plan,
call
but
on a game plan.
I'm not saying there's no game plan, but you can still run the whole game plan and just be like, hey, Aaron, this is what we're running this week. Like, guys already know, but this is what you need to know for the week. And Aaron's like, all right, cool. If they're open, I'm throwing it to them.
I just feel like that's tough both ways. No, am I wrong?
I think they're both awful excuses.
Okay.
I'll just say, listen, if it was like, hey, like somebody who's not used to playing in a crappy climate, like if it was Derek Carr, and you're like, all right, like Derek Carr maybe plays in that like once a year, probably never played in it like in college, like I would get that. Russell Wilson's literally used to playing in rainstorms. Like that, like flurrying during the game did not affect him.
Trivia question: Where did Derek Carr go to college?
Where did Derek Carr go to college?
We went through this.
We did.
We did 32 starting quarterbacks. We both missed 3 colleges.
This would be the
This
one
was
of those
one
I
of them.
don't know. Where the hell did Derek Carr go?
Anybody on the wire line get it before Bill?
I gotta go on with the show here.
No.
And I agree with controlling the game planning thing. Like they run the same offense since they got there. Aaron Rodgers knows it inside and out. Again, if there's anybody that could zoom a game plan, it's him. Like he knows where Adams and all them going to run. I mean, the only
Trout got it.
what was it?
Alex Elmore got it too.
Fresno State.
Fresno State.
Somewhere out there. I know his brother.
Joseph
Utah.
Jeffers close to San Diego State. I like to guess.
Um,
Elmore was quick with it.
Elmore was
They probably played the Ducks one
Probably did.
time. Where
Probably.
that's
Yeah.
probably why.
Yeah. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, him missing 3 days of practice is not going to be.
I'm not saying that was the. I'm not saying that was the reason why he looked so bad. I'm just saying that they didn't do him any favors with that being his first game back when he just got the route out of his finger on Tuesday. That's all.
Fair.
You came
I
out.
guess.
You came out of the gate with that one. You were like, it was a blizzard.
What
Was
do you
it going to look good?
Are you picking this game, Arizona Seattle?
No, 'cause I
So give me your breakdown of the game.
Oh wait, actually, I think I am picking this game.
We're both picking it, so I'm trying to like avoid us like giving away what our picks are going to be.
I think it boils down to if Kyler Murray plays or not. And
Kyler's playing.
They said he's on track. They haven't announced he's playing, but I think he's going to play as well. If he plays and he looks anything like he has the first, 8 weeks of the year, then I think Arizona wins the game. Seattle, regardless of the Wilson thing, they're a 6-loss football team. They have holes. Can't stop the run particularly well. And they're not great against the pass. And they've gotten away from running the ball again. So if you're going to air that, if their game plan is to air the ball out 40, 45 times, I don't think they win that game.
To be fair, though, I mean, I don't think they tried to get rid of the run game, but I mean, Chris Carson has just been out since Russ has been out. So I mean, I don't think
Have you
Alex
switched
Collins
your
is
allegiance this week from the Browns to the
is
Seahawks?
your bell cow.
I think you know where he's going.
Because
I think you know where he's going with his pick.
I don't know. Like you
I'm just
became
saying,
a Seattle
Alex-
Seahawk apologist. Like over
Alex
like since
Collins
last weekend.
isn't your bell cow.
Alex the kid is in the building.
You got Alex and you got Geno Smith back there. I know they're a 6-loss team, but I don't think their record is indicative of what they are as a football team.
He's picking Seattle. Who are you picking?
I'm gonna wait till my pick 'em segment. I'm telling you right now. Now we have a new producer back there. We threw Mike out.
Finally.
I need the NFL when I'm picking. So like, I know we're not gonna get it this week, but I'm just plugging that shit in there. When I'm doing my picks, I want the I want that. All right, so I guess we'll just abstain from talking about it. You have Arizona when Kyler plays.
If Kyler plays, and again he's healthy, I think Arizona wins a close game.
What if he doesn't play?
Then that's a different story. Then you got Colt. I've played on 20 of the 30 NFL teams, McCoy, and
first of all, it was only 16.
It's only versus
I'm
Russ.
kidding.
I can't throw the ball into Blizzard Wilson apparently. So
I love it.
I will. At that point, I would maybe lean Seattle a little bit. I mean, listen, I think they got away with it the first week. You saw it last week without Kyler there. That was ugly.
That's what they look like without Kyler and Nuke.
I'm back.
Don't give me a start on that either. Dude runs the ball from 1 yard out. Now he's freaking. He's
starting this week.
Now he's back.
You should. And when they get beat, I hope somebody screams, "You're not back," because you still stink.
Wow. So my bold
Freaking
prediction
bum.
that I was winning, that I hit on the nose, is now failed. I said Cam Newton wouldn't start a game this year. Remember when I said that before the season started? It was my bold prediction. He was listed as the starter for New England. I got it. All right. So, second, Colts at Bills. The 5-5, winners of their last 4 out of the last 5, fighting Frank Wrights, fighting Carson Wentz.
There you go.
The number 1 running back in the
Knew it
league
was
right now
coming.
due to injury, Jonathan Taylor. I said due to injury too because Derrick Henry. But they're going to go at Buffalo and play a team that just beat the dog crap out of the Jets. 5 interceptions from Mike White. Now Joe Flacco's starting for them.
Mike White.
Yeah.
Yeah, his Hall of Fame.
His 15 minutes of fame is up.
His Hall of Fame march took a detour last week.
Talked about him being the first overall pick. Now he's second
Jesus.
string.
What
with
did
Joe
you
Flacco.
expect him to say, though?
Not that.
Like,
I mean,
You could be like, "Oh, I had a great game." Like,
I could have been the first overall
I'd
pick.
been the first overall pick.
I
Then
love
you go
it.
throw 5 picks, and then you lose your starting job to Joe Flacco.
sheesh.
Dude's a parking cone.
Journeyman Flacco.
Losing your job to Joe Flacco in 2021 should land you in prison.
How many quarterbacks
bit
do the
much,
Jets
but yeah.
have? They had Josh Johnson.
And Josh
Mike
Johnson
White.
looked pretty good.
I know.
don't know
Josh
why
Johnson, Mike
He's not
White,
getting a fair shake here.
Joe Flacco, Zach Wilson. They're employing a lot of quarterbacks in New York.
Yep.
All right,
Still
but
paying Darnold.
True. Darnold down in Carolina with his broken shoulder. He's out for the year. Paying 7 quarterbacks. None of them are good.
if you took like all the attributes from all those quarterbacks and put them into one quarterback,
I mean,
It's probably like a 78 overall on Madden.
yeah. At the end of the day, you're still playing for the suck ass Jets, so you're screwed either way. It's over. It's over, Johnny.
So, wow, a Titans fan, Joseph Jeffers. By the way, Joseph Jeffers, I owe you apology after apology after apology.
I'm going to say this now while we're like getting into this. There's a million Tennessee Titan fans all of a sudden, all over the place, like out of nowhere, I love the Tennessee Titans. Oh, they're 8-2. Oh, I bet you do love them. I didn't hear from you for the first 8 weeks of the season. Like where have you guys been? Like you're nowhere to be found. You get bounced in the first round of the playoffs every year. Everybody's a Tennessee Titans fan all of a sudden.
Joseph Jeffers has been.
I'm not talking about Joseph Jeffers.
Okay.
So it's not directed to him at all. I'm just talking about in general. There's a lot of Tennessee Titan fans online all of a sudden.
Well, I got to apologize to Titans fans because
No, you
Mike
don't.
Rabel should be 100% be the coach of the year. I don't think that's even close.
Hashtag Cliff.
You could say that all you want, but Mike Rabel's done. I think this statistic is 62 starters,
82.
82 stars.
My boy Don.
Bro, he brought down like what? But losing the best player in football, still winning games.
That's running back in football.
I mean, right now, you might be
Maybe
the best player.
Losing the leader in the clubhouse for MVP. I think
Yeah.
that's
Oh yeah.
So we got the Colts at the Bills. Colts are 7-point dogs at Buffalo. Now, I should have seen this coming, and I didn't. I didn't pick the game regardless, but Colts playing the Jaguars last week was 100% one of those trap games I should have seen coming. Colts didn't cover. They won. But I should have seen it coming because I normally look ahead at the schedule, and the Colts probably had this one circled for a while because Buffalo was the team that knocked them out of the playoffs last year, 27-24, hell of a football game at Buffalo. I I think it's going to be a really good football game. I don't think it's going to be a whitewash by any stretch of the imagination. I'm almost going to say I almost guarantee the Colts cover. I don't know if they'll win, but I almost guarantee they'll cover.
I'm with you on that one. I mean, I think that 7 points is kind of odd there, especially considering that the Colts have played pretty much everybody tough, and I know that they haven't, won every tough game, and Buffalo being at home playing as how they've been playing, I definitely see why they would be favored, but I think 7 is a bit high. I would have been thinking like 4.5, like 4. I think that would have been more in the ballpark there. But
Buffalo lays a lot of stinkers, though. They lay a stinker to the Steelers, lay a stinker to Jacksonville.
They've had a couple games where they laid eggs and got away with it.
Yeah,
that's true. I mean,
who they beat like 9-6 or whatever? Was that who's that?
No, they lost. They lost to the Jags.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
9-6.
But the other ones, like the Dolphins, like that's a division game. Like,
that's fair.
Teams come to play for
that
the division
was a stinker,
games.
though.
It was 100%,
like 15-7 or something.
100%. But I think same way it was a trap game for the Colts last week. I think Buffalo could have gotten in the trap, but it helped when you're coming off of a loss to one of the worst teams in football. You got to come out prepared. But the Jets, that's as easy of a win as it is in football. So knowing that you have the Colts next week, and I do agree that it probably means more to the Colts than it would for Buffalo. I think Buffalo has their eyes set on a little bit more. Plus, the Colts lost to Buffalo in the playoffs. But I definitely think that this game's going to be tight. But in Buffalo, I trust Josh Allen to get it done. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, 30-27.
Buffalo Bills better watch out. They got New England Patriots on their ass.
It's a team nobody wants to play right now.
Nope.
I will go 33-30 Buffalo. I think it has the potential to be better than the next game we're going to talk about. This game definitely means more for Indianapolis than it does Buffalo. I'm not saying Buffalo's not going to be up for this game. They definitely are. But if with the crazy start, and playing poorly to begin the year as Indy had, if Indy can somehow win this game and get above 500 and get to 6-5, I think it's a crazy. It'd be a crazy big win for Indianapolis. So I'm looking forward to watching the game. Looking forward to see how Carson's going to play against that Buffalo defense. I do think down the stretch, Josh Allen probably makes enough plays to win that game. But I think it's going to be a very, very good game. It's definitely the best 1:00 game.
I'll go bold. I'll say Colts win.
I'm here for
barely. I think it's going to be a good game regardless, but I'll go Colts win in a close one.
I'm not surprised.
Why?
I think it's pretty obvious to everybody.
Help me understand.
Anytime the Colts are playing in a big-time game, you pick them.
Do I really?
Yes.
I don't think I picked them versus the Rams.
You picked them versus the Ravens.
I picked them the spread versus the Ravens, and I nailed that. That was a solid.
You said they would win. You also picked them against the Titans.
And they should have won that goddamn game.
Should have won the Baltimore game, too.
But what happened?
Ravens, yeah. All right, so that's not the game of the week, though. I think it might be. I'm going to go Colts close, but I don't think that's the game of the week. The game of the week we have to talk about is the Dallas Cowboys going into Kansas City to play the Chiefs. Dude, I just pictured Patrick Mahomes leaving Las Vegas, and you see all the TikTok videos, right? I think I got my swagger back.
Travis Kelce.
I feel like that the Chiefs have finally got their swagger back. Am I wrong or?
Vegas isn't a defensive juggernaut by any
Correct.
means, but that is the first time I would say really all year that Kansas City looked like Kansas City. The offense was in rhythm. Their timing was tight. The ball came out when it needed to. Mahomes didn't run around trying to throw the ball 60 yards downfield all the time. He was taking 10, 15-yard games. And I promise you the last thing Dallas wanted to see was that game Sunday night. I would I think you're going to get I think you're definitely going to see that team this week versus what you've seen the other 7 or 8 weeks. I think Kansas City has a little confidence now. And I think they're going to play well, and it's at home. Arrowhead, that place is going to be jumping Figure it out.
It went away for a minute. We got a buzzing sound. I don't know if you guys can hear that through your end, but
especially with Dallas coming to town. I mean, that place, that is going to be a raucous atmosphere for that game. So I'm excited to watch that game.
I am too. I think the Kansas City Chiefs they got their swagger back. I think they're going to win the football game. I think Dallas scored 43 points last week, and they have all the ability to score over 30 this week versus Kansas City. I just think Kansas City scores one more time. I think it'll be a really close game. Really good football game. 4 o'clock game, right?
That's what I'm looking up, actually.
I think it's 4:25, yeah.
It is.
4:25, same thing.
Not the Sunday night game.
I think the Chiefs going to run. I think that run started. They got 2 really ugly wins, and then they got a huge win versus Vegas, and I think that the 7-8 game winning streak is on the agenda for the Chiefs.
Dan Orlovsky had a really good breakdown of the Chiefs and their success this past week against Oakland. So what they did was, I guess they made an emphasis for Patrick Mahomes to take what the defense was giving him. And so he had a lot more 3-step drops this week as opposed to most other weeks. And that really opened up pretty much everything for them. So he took everything underneath, and then the Raiders started playing them underneath, and that's when he got the deep shots to, like, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Pringle, like all those guys. And I think that's what their identity is. As great as Patrick Mahomes is, you don't want to ask him to do too much. You still want him to follow the flow of the offense, and you want to scheme plays open for them. You don't want them just freestyling out there, because that's what leads to turnovers. So I definitely do think that the Chiefs have put it together, and this is a game that I'm picking, but I do like the Chiefs in this one as well.
Okay. So why wait? We have you like the Chiefs too?
I like Chiefs win the game. I'm not picking it, though. So
okay. I'm not picking the game. I have the Chiefs winning the game also. Let's get into Pickem. I want to get in our NFL Pickem. Shall start us off? We did the other way, so let's just go backwards.
Okay.
Okay, Bert.
I'm going to start with the game tomorrow night, actually. I referenced it a couple minutes ago. New England is not a team you want to play right now. Offense is starting to click. We've talked about it a couple times on the show. They're implementing more and more things to that offense every week. Mac's getting more and more comfortable, opening the playbook up a little bit, and that defense is playing like a Bill Belichick defense right now. Seen the last couple of weeks, I even saw it earlier in the year against Tom Brady. Belichick is just scheming that defense, and they're just making it hard on everybody. In Atlanta, after Atlanta just got smoked, I know Atlanta always plays better at home, but I'll take New England minus 6.5 on the road against Atlanta. Second pick, I'm taking softy Aaron Rodgers minus 2.5 versus Minnesota. You won't have to worry about the blizzard this week. It's in a dome. I think Green Bay's defense, the way they're playing, and Aaron Rodgers is going to do his thing. I actually kind of like them playing with Dillard more than than I do with Jones sometimes. I think he's a stronger back. Runs a little bit more north-south than Jones does. He's a little bit more punishing. Kind of reminds me of like Eddie Lacy a little bit, like when Eddie Lacy was had that 2 or 3 year run. He just pounded people. So I'll take Green Bay minus 2.5 on the road. I think it's a high-scoring game. I think Green Bay covers. My last game, I'm taking Baltimore minus 4.5 on the road at Chicago. I don't think they're going to play as bad as they did last week. I think Lamar and company get back on track. Chicago is just a mess. They have a lot to figure out there. They have injuries on top of everything else, on top of a bad coach and a bad GM. So I like Baltimore to get back on track, and I think they cover 4.5 easily.
I didn't pick it, but I was very close to picking Atlanta. And I'll tell you why. And nothing but me just following betting trends and statistics. For 190% of the money's on New England. That's whatever. That's one way or the other. That lets you know that Vegas, whatever they feel about it. But the second thing is 66.7% of home dogs on primetime for the last, from 2020 till now, so last year and this year, I've covered 66.7. Last week it was 2 out of 3. The Miami Dolphins and the San Francisco 49ers both covered. Obviously, the Las Vegas Raiders didn't. So there's always that outlier, which could be New England. But just statistically, off a betting standpoint, I looked at that game and it hit all my check marks. But because of what you said about how well New England's playing and how good their defense is and it being Atlanta, I get that. So, I understand, your pick. Your pick's the logical pick. So I stayed away from it, but that's a game I thought of because of those trends. Control, give me yours.
So my first game, I'm actually agreeing with Shally on this one. I do like the Ravens -4.5 at the Bears. I do think this is going to be a bounce-back game for them. I mean, they looked completely awful last Thursday, and I think them having the extra time, they're going to get that offense back together, and they're going to be going up against the Matt Nagy-led Bears, and that's always an easy task. So I do like the Ravens in that one. In the Cardinals-Seahawks game, I do like Seattle to win, but I'm going with the over 48 in that one. I think it's going to be a lot of offense, especially if Kyler and DeAndre Hopkins come back. I think Russell Wilson's going to put it together and put up some points. I think it's going to be fireworks in that one. I do think Seattle squeaks out a win. I think they win by like 4 at home. But my pick is the over 48. And then my last pick is the Chiefs at home -2.5 against the Cowboys. Like I said before, I just think that Chiefs offense, they've put it together and they've got it enough to withstand the Cowboys' offensive attack. Sure, that Chiefs defense still isn't great. I know they held Oakland to, less than 300 yards, but I still don't trust that defense. I think the Chiefs can score 40 against that Cowboys defense though, so I'm going with them.
Las Vegas
2.5.
I'm very interested. I'm very interested to see how Baltimore bounces back. I didn't pick them because I watched that Dolphins-Ravens game, and I do agree with both you guys that they'll bounce back, and the Chicago defense probably won't pick up on what Miami did anyway. Well, what I found was really interesting was, and I'm sure it's not the first time it's happened, but it's the first time I've seen it happen so much, in which, the Dolphins ran cover 0 37% of the plays in that game.
Mm-hmm.
They literally all out blitzed Lamar Jackson almost every play, and they hit him from the corners and from the gut. Their whole goal was to make him throw off his back foot in man-to-man coverage. I thought there'd be a lot more big plays. There wasn't. I'm sure John Harbaugh, as good of a coach he is, will adjust, but I need to see a week. And I also don't trust Matt Nagy to figure that whole system out and do the same thing.
The other thing, though, too, with that is that the Dolphins have, corner-wise, probably, if not the best, one of the best tandems in the league with Xavier Howard and Byron Jones. So they're one of the few teams that can actually pull that off. And with the Ravens, outside of Marquise Brown, you don't have anybody Bateman's emerging, but, he's still a rookie. He's still learning. And against, vets like Jones and Xavier Howard, it's tough. So I think Miami was afforded.
In that game.
He was. But I'm just saying, to be relied on as the number one option in a system where, you have to literally beat your man every single down, and there you don't really have too much help. I mean, you have Hollywood, but outside of that, there's nothing taken away from you. It was a tough situation for them, and got to give all the credit in the world to Brian Flores and that Dolphins defense.
Good news for you. Sunday kickoff in Seattle, 44 degrees and dry.
Oh, you're the best, Shally. You are the best. When you find the salt, you just pour it right in the wound.
Gotta pour it, baby. Pour it.
That's fine.
Blizzard.
I have 4 picks this week. I got a bonus one just because I think it's going to be an absolute blowout. I don't like picking favorites, but the fourth one is a bonus one I really love. So my first pick is Seattle +3. I think that Arizona is really reeling. I think the loss of J.J. Watt hurt. They won that game versus San Francisco. It was big, but I think without Kyler and without Nuke, without J.J. Watt, a lot of people on that team going down. I don't think there's a team reeling more than Arizona. They got their ass handed to them at home versus Carolina, and I think that this is a game where Russell Wilson just got shut out. I think he's going to put up a lot of points. I agree with Cottrell. I think the over hits, but I think Seattle wins the game by 7. Not huge on it. Another game I want to watch is the Ron Rivera versus former quarterback. I have Cam Newton and Carolina -3.5 at home versus Washington. I think that this is a classic letdown game for a team like Washington that just beat defending Super Bowl champions. Got to go on the road. I understand that it could be considered the same letdown game for Carolina after beating Arizona, but I think that them coming back home with Cam Newton starting, I think there'll be a lot of energy in that stadium. I think that Carolina will pull that game out. I'll take them -3.5. like Jacksonville +7. San Francisco has to travel across the country on a short week. They have to play at Jacksonville. They got to they got to beat them by more than 7 points. I don't necessarily think that Jacksonville is going to win the game, but I think it'll be a 3-point game, and I'll take Jacksonville +7.
Love that pick, actually.
My blowout of the week. I like the Browns -10.
11 now, but yeah.
11, 12.
I'm just
You could buy it up to 15.5 if you want.
probably.
I love the Browns this week. I think the Browns are going to dominate this game. I think this will be a bounce-back game after getting blown out. They're going to play at home. Nick Chubb playing or no?
Not activated yet.
Not yet, but he should be. He's vaccinated already and
Should play.
he should be good to go.
I really think the Browns roll in this game. I think this is a big bounce-back game for them.
They need it.
I think it's going to be a blowout. I think it'll be an absolute blowout. If you want to take the game and take the alternate spread, take the Browns -16.
Jesus.
Why not? You're going to get +300. Give the extra 5 points. You're going to win that game by 25 to 30 points.
Oof.
So that's my picks this week. There's my Pickem segment. Anything else NFL, guys? Any other NFL comments? By the way, 21-14 on the season. I'm sitting at that 60% mark right now. I cannot wait to get to that 70% mark, and I will get there, NFL. That's why I had to add an extra pick in there. But I'm getting back to that 70%. 21-14 right now for the season. 2 out of 3 last week. My lock of the year, the Dallas Cowboys, -9. They won by 40. So let's get into that. Tiny said Detroit will get their first victory over the Browns. They will not.
Oof.
Tiny,
Good
they will
Lord.
not.
Browns right now, they are definitely dysfunctional, to say the least,
They-
especially
they-
after hearing Jarvis's interview yesterday.
What do you say?
They asked him about like his role in the offense, and he said, I don't know why I'm not getting the ball as much, but I just know I go out and I play hard every time I get a chance to be out there on the field. And they asked him again, like, you got the ball in the past, like, what's going on this year? He's like, I don't know. They're like, well, is it like the offense? Or he's like, I don't know.
Everybody's turning on
I'm just
Baker,
like,
baby.
oh my God, here we go.
Jarvis, I predicted this happening already.
Carson Jr. in Cleveland.
No, I
There it
predict-
comes.
I'm like, here we go.
I predicted this happening already. Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham Jr. are best friends.
Yep.
They're literally best friends. I knew this shit was going to happen.
To be fair, it wasn't like, to put it in context, it wasn't like this was like an actual like press conference that he said that. He was at a charity event where he was giving away food to these families and everything, and he got interviewed by Cleveland media. And so I don't know if the line of questioning just caught him off guard or what, but that's just the context around it.
It's okay. I actually really disagree. And I think that Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham have the same things to say. Regardless of what you say about Baker Mayfield, you don't do that shit when he's your starting quarterback. You don't do it. In an NFL, man, that drives me nuts. Like, I've played team sports my entire life. When a player on your team is struggling or you think that they're the issue, you never let that be known to anyone else. Ever.
Not in the media, not like that.
Bill, I'm not kidding with you. You coach a friggin' travel men's softball team. And I know players on your team that were struggling. Every single time I ask you about any one of them, no, they're getting it. They hit their cages. They hit a couple balls really strong. Like, I know that's the way you respond because it's your teammate.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, internally you might feel like that player has just not hitting the ball or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's the way you respond to shit like that. You never, ever, ever let anyone outside that building understand there's any friction inside the building.
I think it's really different coming on the heels of, obviously, you saw what happened as soon as OBJ and his dad put that video out and like what it did. So to double down on that and pretty much, again, he never said Baker's name, I'm assuming.
No, of course not.
But he insinuated the hell out of it.
They basically, how I took the video, it was like he either thinks that Baker's the problem or Kevin's the problem. And there's no in between. Like, he was very vague about it. But
here's my only issue with it. Like, I just don't think you can take the stance I'm not getting the ball enough when you openly welcomed bringing OBJ on the team when you knew doing that, you were obviously going from wide receiver 1 to wide receiver 2 then. So if you didn't care about it that much when he was there, now it's an issue.
I don't think it's that he cares about it. He cares about the fact that he's not getting the ball and they're not winning. Jarvis is I don't even know what to say about him. As much as he was a presence in our locker room, he's not going to be on the team next year. And he knows that this is his last chance to win while he's in Cleveland. They owe him $14 million next year. And for a guy who's not putting up 1,000 yards, you can't have that on the books, especially when you got guys like Baker that needs to be resigned and Denzel Ward needs to be resigned.
I don't love to resign Baker anymore.
Hold on. Let me ask you a question real quick. Who'd they play? Pittsburgh. They played Pittsburgh in Cleveland, right?
For what?
3 weeks ago.
Yes.
Before they played the Bengals and blew them out
Yep.
and lost. Who was the worst player on the football field versus Pittsburgh? The worst player on the football field.
I don't know.
I got a hint for you. It was Jarvis fucking Landry.
He said, I don't know.
Jarvis Landry stunk that game.
I mean, Baker put up 10 points.
Who was the one that fumbled the ball on the drive?
I mean, Jarvis had a bad game.
And he had 2 drops too, right? Two big drops, right?
He did.
They lost 15-10. Baker makes that huge run. He celebrates, and then the next play.
Which should have been a touchdown, but that's a whole nother story.
Okay, the next play, Jarvis fumbles the ball, right?
Or if you score a touchdown there, you don't have to worry about the fumble. That's just.
He didn't score a touchdown.
I'm just saying. Look, if you look at the film, it's there. The whole moral of the story is the whole team is just dysfunctional, and Jarvis Landry is not going to be a Brown next year. That's my bold prediction.
I just think it's crazy how we came into this year. Cleveland was everybody's darling, like sleeper Super Bowl pick.
After week 1.
And everybody was like, oh man, Kevin Stefanski's done all this. Baker's coming to his own. And now we're like, Stefanski's lost control of the team. OBJ's a cancer. He's gone. Baker stinks. We're not re-signing him. And now Jarvis Landry's throwing people under the bus.
You got to cut bait.
Wild.
You have to cut bait with Jarvis. You have to cut bait with Odell. You have to get Baker receivers that will work with Baker. You sign people in this offseason, and you give them a season. You give him a season. What?
You can't. Baker's not going to resign for 1 year though.
You cut Odell. You're going to cut bait with Jarvis. Like if you can't produce with those guys,
Odell cut himself.
You just said
let's be honest.
cut bait.
No.
He's not going to be back next year, right? That's what you just said. I'm saying you cut bait at the end of this year. You've already cut bait with. I'm not saying cut them. You've already cut bait with Odell Beckham. You obviously got to cut Jarvis Landry. You're making $14 million a year, not catching the football. You already said that, right?
Right.
Okay, so all my point is get him wide receivers that aren't best friends and colluding against him, and give him 1 year with Kevin Stefanski, and let's see what happens. Kevin Stefanski had a great season last year, did he not?
He did.
You have the best running game in football, right? You have the best offensive line in football, right? He's a good offensive mind, right? Give him a chance with receivers that aren't colluding against it and aren't me guys. Odell Beckham's been a fucking loser everywhere he's been. Everywhere. He's made the playoffs one fucking time.
Everybody's yelling.
I'm tired of it.
I mean,
Odell Beckham Jr. went to L.A. and in 1 week that team stinks.
Well, they stunk the week before, so let's not
fair,
quite get
but
on
I'm
that.
just tired of Odell Beckham Jr.
It's not Odell. That's the thing. It's not just Odell, and that's the part that gets lost in everything. Like he didn't say a word while he was in Cleveland, and I get it. His dad posted videos, all that stuff, but none of that mattered because right now Baker Mayfield against the Patriots, Jarvis Landry was on the field. Odell wasn't there, so what happened? They had a scripted first drive. They looked good, and then they got off script after Baker threw an interception that turned into 7 points, and then we were just in a rabbit hole from there on. I just don't think that Baker is the answer. I think that Baker is a solid quarterback. He's not a quarterback that wins you a Super Bowl.
I don't agree or disagree, but he looked really good versus Cincinnati the week
He
prior.
always looks good against Cincinnati. He's 6-1 against them in his career. That's one team that he just has.
Would we agree that the Patriots have a top 5 defense in football right now?
We do.
He had to go play at New England and got his ass beat.
Okay.
Let's see what he does this week when he kicks Detroit's ass.
Okay, and then what about the week after that when they got a playoff team coming in? What about the week after that when they got Baltimore coming in?
They played Baltimore great last year when they lose 45-42.
They did.
Let me see what he does.
I'm just saying this is what Baker wanted right here. He wanted to be the guy. You didn't have Chubb. You didn't have Odell. The offense was in your hands, and you put up 7 points.
I don't think he wants to be the guy without Chubb.
He wants to be the guy. That's
know,
just
but
who he is.
You didn't have Chubb. You didn't have your best offensive player.
I understand that. Ryan Tannehill hasn't had Derrick Henry for 2 weeks, and they keep winning.
Baker's not Ryan Tannehill.
And if you can't be Ryan Tannehill, you cannot be my franchise guy where I'm giving you $40 million a year.
Fair. I guess like what is your hope for next year? Do you hope they franchise him for one more year or just move on?
Yes.
I hope they franchise him. I agree with you.
I don't know what my end all be all is yet. I just don't want to pay Baker Mayfield $40 million a year. If we can find a way to get him 25,
well, you can get him at 25,
26.
This might be a ploy by the Cleveland Browns to get him at 25.
I'm okay
right
with
now.
that. He could be my franchise guy for 5 year, 4 year, 25 a year. I'm okay with that. But for 40 or 38, 37,
he ain't getting 40 from anyone after this year.
Nope.
Well, not after this year. Coming into this year,
snowball's chance of hell getting 40 this year.
Coming into this year, they were up in the 30s. I mean, but he's not played well this year. He's not healthy either.
He's not, and I don't want to knock him too much, but
I'm not even a Baker fan. Like, I'm not even a Baker fan, but I'm defending the guy because I think that this is bullshit what these LSU guys, both these teammates, are doing. Bro, you don't do shit like that. You have his father posting videos on Twitter about him not throwing his son the ball. Now you got Landry saying this sideways shit in interviews. You don't do shit like that to your teammates, regardless how you feel, bro. Get cut, go play for another team, and go sign with a quarterback that you want to play with.
I mean, to be fair, Baker hasn't been the model teammate either. The way he threw Miles under the bus with the whole
exactly what,
Mason thing and the whole thing with Duke Johnson when he was holding out for his contract. So Baker isn't the model guy. Two wrongs don't make a right. He's your quarterback. It almost reminds me of the movie Draft Day. Like, if you ask people like who went to Baker Mayfield's like birthday party, I don't know who's showing up. Because you hear all these
Donovan Peoples-Jones.
You hear all these reports about, guys.
He's about to be wide receiver one.
Guys don't like Odell, like he was a cancer in the locker room and everything. But since he's left, people just keep getting interviewed like, oh yeah, I missed that guy. Like, he was a great teammate to me. Like, so I'm like, what's going on in this locker room? And that's just complete dysfunction.
It's Carson all over again.
It's literally complete dysfunction.
Just not in our city for once.
I wouldn't pay him $30 million. I 100% agree
Hell
with Josh
no.
Jefferson. He's a $25 million quarterback. He's Kirk Cousins. That's what he is. Right system.
I don't know if he's even Kirk Cousins.
And I don't.
I mean, he might probably be better than Kirk Cousins.
I'd take Kirk Cousins over Baker Mayfield.
You want to see Kirk Cousins' primetime record?
You look at Kirk Cousins' numbers overall, dude. And you put him up against.
Anytime you put him in the bright lights, though, he stinks.
You put him. How many guys don't stink in the bright lights? There's 4 of them.
Baker didn't stink last year in the wild card land. War versus Kansas City.
Russell Wilson can't play in a blizzard, so you take him off the list.
I wouldn't say
I love that you just said that. All right, we gotta move. We'll talk about Baker next week.
Wow.
I have a couple basketball.
Please not.
This is Detroit.
I have a couple basketball overreactions. I want to ask you a question.
All right, let's go.
Well, I say there. All right, so I'm gonna start with.
Let's go. Hot
question
stove. Let's
1,
go.
2, 3, or 5. Do you want me to piss Cottrell off?
I mean, he's already pissed off, so I don't think it's going to take much right now.
Let's go 1. Let's go 1.
Is LeBron done?
No.
Done.
Like done? Like what do you mean by done?
Finished. No. Never have a season where he has over 60 games played. Ever. Like
60 is a low number, so I'll say no.
You're going to say no too?
Yeah, I mean, I think 60 is low.
60 is 2/3 of the year.
If you think that he's like falling off the cliff, I mean, I'm not going to disagree with you. I think he can play 66, 67 games a year and still average 24, 8, and 8. Like, I just think that's who 24, 7, and 7. Like, that's just who he is. And I think him not playing is just him trying to get himself together. He's not a guy that plays. He's not a guy that's going to play 82 games a year anymore, though. That's just not who he is. And now he has Russell Westbrook and AD. I know they're not meshing yet, but those are guys who can get it done.
You led me to my next one. I'll stay with a Laker question. Is Russell Westbrook worse for your team than he is good?
Yes.
Oh.
Hey.
What's the Wizards record?
They got like 6 new players. That's not the team that Russ was playing with.
There's 6 new players. The ones that LeBron was just playing with last year.
Without Anthony Davis.
I'm just saying.
I mean, if those guys had Bradley Beal last year, maybe they would have been all right.
I will say once LeBron comes back, I think there's a better than 50-50 shot that Russell Westbrook is not your starter by the end of the year.
He makes too much money to not be your starter.
LeBron runs that franchise.
He does.
But I don't think they bring him.
If he keeps throwing the ball into the stands 12 times a game, LeBron's not going to sit on the court and watch that. I promise you.
I just don't think that LeBron and AD would have talked to him and talked him into coming to LA if they didn't believe in the process.
It was like an arms race, though, dude. Everybody's beefing up their teams and everything. And it was like the one guy, like.
No, I get that.
Like they had no choice.
They could have went a different direction, though. They didn't have to go. If they wanted to, they could have talked to their boy, Mr. Ben Simmons, to their clutch sports buddy, come over to LA. But they went with the Russ route.
Eric said somebody was watching ESPN this afternoon. I swear I wasn't.
Russ.
What did they say?
Russ is kind of the same boat as me as OBJ. Everywhere he goes, it's the same story.
His team makes the playoffs and
don't win nothing, and he's usually one of the reasons why. He puts up a lot of empty stats that look great if you look at him on paper, but again, he's not a clutch shooter. He's not particularly great with ball security. He doesn't have the formula that's going to win you a bunch of games in tough playoff series. He's not.
My jury isn't all the way out yet on Russell Westbrook because they didn't design this team to be Russell Westbrook and Anthony Davis led. They designed it around LeBron and Anthony Davis. And so once LeBron comes back, we'll see what this team's true form is. And I do think a lot of the turnovers that Russ has is because there is no other guy to take care of the ball. So I know Rondo's on the team as well, but if you have the ball in Russ's hands, chances are he's running the offense. When LeBron's back, LeBron's going to run the offense. That's going to alleviate some of the turnovers.
Rondo's going to be your starting point guard.
Hold on, your sales point is Russell Westbrook is going to be an off-ball guard?
No, that's not my sales pitch. No. I'm just saying that the turnover is going to cut down because LeBron's going to take some share away from him.
No, I understand that, but what's Russ's role if LeBron's handling the ball? I thought Russ going there was to handle the ball.
Not necessarily.
He's not an off-ball guard.
He's not an off-ball guard, no. But I feel like the primary reason why they brought him in was because they didn't have. I mean, they had Dennis Schroeder last year, but they didn't have a consistent guy to go out and make a play for himself. If LeBron went to the bench and Anthony Davis is out with injury or he's also on the bench, they didn't have a guy to go get a bucket. With Russ, you can put the ball in his hands and you can tell him to go attack the rim and try to make a play somehow, some way. I just don't think that once LeBron comes back, Russ is going to have the ball in his hands as much as he does right now. I think it's going to be like a 50-50 split where Russ is running the offense, LeBron's running the offense.
I just want to know when the Monstars are going to bring back Russell's shooting ability because the first 5 years he was in the league, he could shoot the ball. Shot 83% from the line. I don't know what happened. Okay, next one. If Klay Thompson comes back next month, 80% of what you're used to Klay is the West already wrapped up?
It's not wrapped up. I think Golden State is healthy. You got everybody that's a little bit a year older. You got guys more experienced. Jordan Poole's obviously developed. You know, we talked about him on our NBA preview show. He's another scoring option now for Golden State. I do think the scary thing is I think in theory they're going to get better once they get Klay back. And I think you got to give Andrew Wiggins a little bit of credit. He's had a really good start to the year. He seems like a little bit of a different player this year. Is that going to hold up for the next 60 games? I do not know. I don't think it's wrapped up by any means. Steph Curry is on a different planet right now. He just continues to just prove day in and day out he is literally the best basketball shooter to be ever put on this earth. They're really good though. I mean, it's a team. I don't think it's a team that anybody's gonna, run to sign up to play in the playoffs. I can tell you that. But I mean, they're 12-2?
Yes, 12-2.
Just
blew out and
beat the balls off Brooklyn. Yeah, and to your point, I don't know if you're gonna bring it up or not. Yep. So I'll let you do that. But I'm with you on that. I don't buy into that crap either. So they just showed up and they beat the crap out of Brooklyn. So that's how I look at it.
Your thoughts?
No, it's not. The West isn't quite wrapped up yet. I do think that there are some teams like the Nuggets. We still haven't seen them at their full potential yet. Michael Porter Jr. hasn't played even close to what his contract says he's worth. Jamal Murray's not back yet. I mean, with the Lakers, they haven't hit their stride yet. And they're still, good teams. Like the Clippers are out there. Kawhi's not back yet. You got the Suns who are just going to be there. I don't think the West is wrapped up, but I do think that once Klay comes back and they find a way to incorporate him in that offense, that they're going to be a tough out.
Do you think there's anybody that can take the 1 seed from them?
Phoenix would be my answer.
My answer would be Denver, I think, or Denver or Utah. Similar, like you always use the analogy, the try-hard teams in the regular season. I think it'd be one of those teams, and especially with Klay coming back from injury, they're probably not going to just run him, 65, 60 games. He's probably going to play a game, take a game off, typical rest kind of thing.
He's not going to play any back-to-backs.
And if Steph misses any time, I could see how that team starts to falter a little bit. I think the Nuggets and the Jazz are just deep enough and they play hard enough that they could catch them if something was to go off tracks a little bit for the Warriors.
The only thing I think with the Clippers and
but for the record, I think that. Sorry, I just want to answer the three questions I asked. I think LeBron will never play 60 games again.
Okay.
B, I think Russell Westbrook makes teams worse.
I agree.
And C, I think Golden State will be the 1 seed in the West.
Okay. I mean, I could see.
I don't think the West is wrapped up, though. I agree with you.
Yeah, I don't think it's wrapped up. I mean, I don't think they're gonna run away with it. I think the only question marks you have with Denver and LA is those injuries happen late in the season. I don't know what or if what kind of condition or what percentage those you're gonna get Kawhi or Jamal Murray at.
They're talking about Kawhi in March.
Yeah, I just don't.
I don't know.
Well, his wasn't. I mean, Jamal completely blew his out. So I know they said Kawhi's was a little bit different. It wasn't as bad as they thought it was when they got in, but
March still long.
Yeah.
Well, Kawhi takes his time to come back from injury.
Yeah, Kawhi don't rush nothing.
So
Kawhi enjoys the disabled list as long as his checks keep clearing.
Okay, next one. I call this the Stephen A. Smith question. Does KD have any help in Brooklyn?
And that's the side he took. I didn't watch it today. That's what he said.
He said that James Harden is playing awful, and he's not been James Harden, and the real James Harden is hidden somewhere, but that KD made the wrong decision by going to Brooklyn. He has no help there, and he should have went to New York or stayed in Golden State. That's the position he took.
I mean, that's an easy position to take when, nobody knew
hindsight is always
2020. 2 months ago, nobody was like, "Oh, Kyrie's not going to play this year." Like that wasn't on anybody's radar. So James Harden hasn't had a great start to the year. You still have 40 All-Star appearances on the rest of the people that are on that roster. Don't tell me he doesn't have any help.
You got Aldridge.
Yeah. It's typical Stephen A, man, because KD's like one of the guys. Like Stephen A is one of the few people that KD still talks to. So he's got to get on national TV and shout and use big words and everything to make it cool, make it look like he's got KD's back. That's a joke. Everybody was touting KD last year for almost winning that playoff game single-handedly by himself, and you couldn't throw enough accolades at him. And to his credit, he did. He absolutely was incredible that entire series and was 2 inches away from winning the game by himself if his toe's on the line. So don't turn around and tell me now just because Golden State came into your gym and beat the balls off you, now you don't have enough help. Like you were doing that last year without James Harden.
By the way, Giannis had 47 and 48 and 9 tonight.
Jesus.
I 100% agree, Bill. But to, I guess, add on to that, I will say this isn't what Kevin Durant signed up for. That's no excuse. They should be winning. He does have help. That's just absurd to say he doesn't have help. You got Joe Harris is a great 3-point shooter. That's beside him. You got Patty Mills. You got LaMarcus Aldridge. You got Blake Griffin. Like, I know these players are past their prime, but they still can produce at a high level in the NBA. Not saying they're going to be all-stars or anything like that, but that's help. There's a lot of teams out there that would kill for that kind of help. But to the flip side, though, I will say that Kevin Durant, this isn't what he signed up for. James Harden has been playing that well. Clearly the rule change has affected him in some way, whether it's mental or just the physical aspect of not getting to the line as much. It's played a part in what's been going on this season for him. And then with Kyrie and this whole vaccine thing, without getting too much into that, 2 years ago we didn't know that COVID was going to be like this. We didn't know it was going to keep guys away from their team, and I will say that this isn't what Kevin Durant signed up for, but he's more than capable of taking this team to where they want to go. So I'm not buying into that he has no help.
To be fair, James Harden led the team 27 points, 10 boards, 7 assists tonight, and a 10-point win over the Cavs. Just to be fair. Last one for NBA, and then I don't know if you have any couple for NHL, but last one for NBA, the Chicago Bulls will be the East 1 seed.
No.
Okay. I agree with you guys about the joke that Kevin Durant doesn't have help. James Harden is still an all-star. He's still a 2-time MVP. And I think the rule change will take some time to adjust. I don't think 16 games is any of it this needs about, so I think that's kind of bullshit. He also has LaMarcus Aldridge, Blake Griffin, Joe Harris. Like, they have a team full of players that can play basketball. I want to hear that bullshit that he has no help.
And they played enough games last year without Kyrie or Harden on the court at all times too. So I mean, there really isn't anything different than what they went through last year. Like nothing.
My last one will be, I think the Chicago Bulls will be a top 2 seed in the East, and I think the Washington Wizards will be a top 5 seed in the East. So mark that how you like it.
I had Chicago as a top 3 seed. I think they finished higher than the Sixers. So, and obviously you're gonna have Milwaukee. I think Milwaukee, Chicago.
Milwaukee's like 7 and 8 right now. I know it's early.
Chris
Middleton's
Middleton's been out, and Giannis has missed a couple games here and there. So I'm not too worried about them.
And I think Miami is the other one. So I think
Miami is the one.
Those are my top 3 seeds in the East.
My top,
in some order.
My top 2 would be the Bucks, and then I would go Miami. So Chicago would fall somewhere after that.
And then 4, 5, 6 range, you're gonna have Sixers, Knicks, Celtics, Washington. I mean, still got the Hawks somewhere. I mean, it's
the fun part.
It's gonna be tough.
That 7 to 10 range, you're gonna have Cavs.
The 2 people
Hornets.
that have struggled the most this year with the rule change are James Harden and Trae Young.
I'm gonna throw in my guy, Damian Lillard. I'm not saying that he was as much as those guys, but I think mentally for him, he just hasn't. I mean, he's been in a slump since the Olympics. But
he hasn't looked right since the Olympics.
But he's definitely another one that's struggling.
All right, so any NHL?
I mean, do we have time to do it?
We can do it next week.
We can do it next week. I have it all written down. So
all right, so let's go. You got to be kidding me then.
All right.
Troy, you want stars?
That's fine. So mine this week is the Dallas Cowboys for what they pulled last week against the Atlanta Falcons. So for the people who don't know, Cowboys were up big before halftime. They were up 34-3, and for whatever reason, it was like 30 seconds left in the second quarter. They decided to go for 2. Now, I'm a guy who's all for, if you don't want me to do it, stop me. But in that situation, there's no need for that, especially before halftime, especially, with all your starters on the field. Clearly, you struggled the week before with the Broncos. You don't want any injuries to happen. You still have a whole second half of football to go. Like, there is no – I understand, Dan Quinn was the old coach of the Falcons, and they're probably just putting it to him just as like as a show me kind of thing. But no need for that in that game, especially at that point, when you have a whole season ahead of you. And I'm assuming that your aspirations are trying to win a Super Bowl, but, I mean, it is Dallas. So, I mean, we know that's not happening. But for that, this week, Cowboys.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
I have something so similar, but again, Bill.
I'm going to go with Teddy Bridgewater this week. Teddy Bridgewater pulled the old Cam Newton in his game this past week. Bad enough, you throw interceptions and fumble the ball and everything else, and then you get ready in the pack, get ready to make a tackle, and you totally just kind of like put your foot in and then just kind of let like 3 people run by you. I absolutely trashed Cam Newton when this happened in the Super Bowl, and I'm going to trash Teddy Bridgewater for it now. I understand quarterbacks are usually on the smaller side. They're not used to hitting people or whatever. But when you like distinctly jump out of the way and want nothing to do with the play on a mistake that you caused, nonetheless, I just don't know how you look at guys in the locker room. Like, I really don't. Like, you couldn't get out of the way fast enough. And the thing I don't understand either is you have to know in the back of your head, with all the cameras they have on these games, like, people are going to see it. This isn't like 1980 when they had like three different angles. And you're like, oh, like, I didn't see what happened. Like, they replayed it 9 times, and then everybody was like, oh, Teddy Bridgewater made a business decision. No, Teddy Bridgewater pussed out. That's what happened. Like, let's just keep on. You probably can't say that on CBS. That's fine. I get it. But that's what really happened. Like, you could tell, like, the announcers, like, wanted to say something, but they just kept calling it a business decision. So for Teddy Bridgewater being an absolute baby and being scared to play football, he's my you got to be kidding me this week.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
The only thing I'll disagree with, it wasn't something he caused. Melvin Gordon fumbled the ball.
Whatever.
And the second part of that is the part that makes it even better of what he's about to say. He actually like blocked one of his own guys.
Yeah.
Like, did you see that? Like, he like got in front of.
Yeah,
like.
The one thing that I will say about that, I'm 100% with you, Shally.
Okay.
You got to at least whiff there. Like, you got to throw your arms out. Like, you try to, but that's not who you are. But that kind of play is how Baker Mayfield tore his labrum. So I'm all for quarterbacks making the right business decisions there. But you got to whiff. You got to make it look good. You're a quarterback. They don't pay you to tackle, but just whiff. Just throw your arms out. If you can't grab them, oh well.
Fall down.
I got 2 people on my soft list this year, and they're both quarterbacks. Not a good start.
All right, mine is very similar to what Cottrell's was. if you didn't see it, Baylor beat Oklahoma this week. Oklahoma is no longer in the playoff, and what everybody's been saying about Oklahoma has been obviously true. So, but what I didn't like is there was 1 second left on the clock, and the Baylor fans stormed the field. So now Oklahoma's stuck because the college referees, instead of calling the game, they have to play the 1 second out. So they have to clear the entire field. So they have to get all the Baylor fans off the field. Then Baylor decides to run out their field goal kicker and kick a field goal to add 3 points, just to salt the wound over Oklahoma. Lincoln Riley was heated for both reasons. The Baylor fans storming the field early, and then for Baylor to kick a field goal in that situation when they already won the game. Both those reasons.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
Circle that game next year.
Oh,
because it will be fun. Because that game will be in Norman next year too.
Yeah.
So
Lincoln's gonna try and put up 60,
70. Should be up. Oh my God, that'll be fun.
Just class. It was just classless, in my opinion. Especially after they had to wait for all your fans to leave the field. Then you're gonna run out a field goal kicker. Come on, man.
I don't know what the backstory there is. I don't know if there is any backstory, but the one thing that I do, the portion of it that I do agree with Lincoln on is that you have all those fans on the field, you have your players on the field. Clearly, it's a rival kind of thing, and it is a big game. So for player safety, I'm 100% with Lincoln on that one. And I would be a little salty too. You kick a field goal and you don't need it, but it is what it is.
Now, how if this didn't play into it, obviously, because Oklahoma's favored, but that would have the potential to go down as the worst bad beat ever if that field goal would have mattered.
I know.
At that point, you had to start an investigation. Baylor's coach has some money on that game. Oh, it's funny.
You guys have any final thoughts? I have one.
I have two.
I don't.
Yeah.
So my first one, just a shout out to some of my boys. They're playing tonight in the championship at Pembroke. I just got the text that we won. So to Ty, Billy Cunningham, all those guys, they've now won 3 out of 4 of the last Pembroke fall championships with Bat League. So congrats to all those guys: Danny Roman, Eric Tidwell, Pat Conroy, all those guys, Keith Kepley. And my second one, if anybody in our audience is looking for a foot model, I don't know if you saw our pictures earlier today, Gene Walzak is available for hire. He will put on any Michael Jordans or any kind of fresh Nikes that are official. Gene is available during the day for appointments. He will be your foot model. So anybody looking for anything like that, contact Gene, DM him. He's available. Vogue, anybody got, Vogue, GQ, anything. Anybody's got any ends, let Gene know. That's all I got.
We're going to be doing merch again soon, which is why I'm doing this, but that's fair. Mine's a little bit more serious this week. This Friday will mark my 3rd birthday that I will miss of my father's that has passed away. So I wanted to, last year at this time when I wished him a happy birthday, it was, we're going to be doing this for a while. We're going to continue doing this. This year, it's now a year and a half, and we've grown, a year and a month. And we've grown and we've gotten bigger and better and stronger. And I just, I remember when I wanted to start this, it was, I talked to Cottrell and Bill, and it was around August, and it was right after the 1 year of you passing away. So I'm speaking to you. So I just wanted to wish you a happy birthday, happy heavenly birthday this Friday. And I miss you every day. So thank you so much for all you've given me. And with that, we will take episode 58, Wire to Wire. We will sign out.